So,
Yes.
all right. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, YouTube.
Good
And
morning.
now, officially, good morning to Instagram as well.
Yes.
So, if you're watching, so great to have you here for Digital Devotionals. It's officially Wednesday, April 15th. It's almost 9:30 here Atlanta time. We're coming to you a little bit later than we normally do.
True.
And my wonderful guest, my beautiful wife, Amy, is here with me today.
Freshly, showered with makeup. I even put earrings on in case anybody cares.
They look fantastic.
Thank you.
So here's what's happening right now. Amy's with me. Our kids are still, in theory, 2 of them are still sleeping. 2 are awake. They may join us at any minute.
They could.
We've got multiple cameras happening right now. So
I have my
sorry.
Instagram happening simultaneously.
Exactly. We've got an Instagram camera feed happening, a Facebook camera feed, because we are high tech.
We're so high tech. And if I could, I would be responding right now. But I'm just going to say hi to Catherine, who's watching on Instagram.
And St. Louis gets a shout out with Jenny Egan. Hello, how you doing? Come on, STO.
I'd also like to point out that Catherine is the only one watching, and I appreciate your support, Catherine.
So, dumb question, because apparently we're 9,000 years old, and I don't know how this works. On Instagram, is it only available when it's live, or is it available for replay? Or is it just for 24 hours?
I think it's part of my Insta story, so it's available for 24 hours.
24 hours. Okay.
We don't really know what we're talking about, but it's fine.
Okay, well, I'm also not even in the middle of this camera, which looks really great.
There we go.
It's literally like
we
this.
We just have to sit really quick.
Hi, everyone. I just want to welcome you to Digital Devotionals. Okay.
It's fine.
All right. My sister's on. And
hey, Amy.
That means it's time for me to give Amy Albert, formerly known as Amy King, the artist formerly known as Amy King, a shout out because she sent me a new mug to use for Digital Devotionals. That's right. She lives in Columbia, Tennessee.
Let's go, Columbia.
And this may be my new favorite mug. It's weighty. It's thick.
It's got girth to it.
It's got some girth. You need like a workout to use it. And that's coming to us from the Pink Porch. A little boutique there in Columbia.
Tammy McCall.
So listen, everybody, support your local businesses. And if you want to shout out on Digital Devotionals, listen, you can send a mug to us anytime. I will point out not only who sent it, but whatever business it is that you're supporting.
Yeah, so in case anyone's watching my Insta stories, Andy does a daily devotional, and he talks about his mug that he's drinking out of. And so his sister actually sent him this beautiful mug.
Normally my sister is very stingy and, isn't very generous. But in this moment,
yes.
she was.
Look, I've got 2. And look at that, Samantha. I'm drinking out of your mug today. Cheers.
Okay. Guys, we've been yapping. This is the danger of having Amy and I on because we
love to talk.
We also love to make each other laugh. And so it's kind of a comedy show at our house a lot. But we're going to talk about some things that actually, we can obviously have some fun with it, but are significant to us right now, culturally speaking. So each day, each week, we've been kind of just reading through different texts in the Bible as a source of encouragement to you. Many times, Amy is on the other side of this camera, right? Drinking
Correct.
her coffee, eating breakfast or whatnot. She's the peanut gallery to me sometimes.
I give him all of his good deliveries.
So in this moment, we're doing this together, which is really fun. And we're going to be in the book of 1 Peter. So jump in. We're in 1 Peter chapter 4. And thanks again for being on Instagram, Facebook, and then later YouTube later today. But here's what the Bible has to say to us. And again, why we're doing this is a sense of consistency. There's nothing like having a moment of reflection, a moment of prayer, a moment where you set your eyes and your heart on Christ. And it's easy to not do that in the course of kids running around your house, the madness of the day, or even though many of us are in quarantine, many of the people I'm talking to are just as busy, if not busier, than they were, because they're managing homework and school or workouts and digital groups that they're a part of. And it's tiring. So my hope is this is encouraging to your soul today. First Peter chapter 4. Be alert and sober-minded for prayer. Above all, maintain constant love for one another, since love covers a multitude of sins. Be hospitable to one another without complaining. Ouch. Okay. Just as each one has received a gift, use it to serve others as good stewards of the varied grace of God. If anyone speaks, let it be as one who speaks God's words. If anyone serves, let it be from the strength God provides, so that God may be glorified through Jesus Christ in everything. To him be the glory and the power forever and ever. Amen. A lot happening here. Mm-hmm. Peter's, writing to the early church. I forget the actual year, or roughly the year that we're in right now, but this is post resurrection. This is in a time when the church is experiencing some persecution. And one of the things that he is reminding them is to be alert and sober-minded. But not just be alert and sober-minded for life, be alert and sober-minded for prayer. So one of the reasons we're doing this call, or the Digital Devotional later today, is because every Wednesday we have a prayer call. And it is, it's interesting because it can be really hit or miss in terms of how many people or who's on, and everybody has different reasons. Mm-hmm. But the truth of the matter is this: prayer is one of the simplest things that we can ever do, and yet is one of the hardest things for us to consistently do. Why? Why do you struggle with praying?
Because it requires me, a lot of times, I don't know, I look at prayer very broadly, I guess. One is there's a prayer continually throughout the day. So, just throughout your day, Lord, something comes to mind and you just pray to God about it. You talk to him about it. It's a conversation with him. But I think what you're referring to is just a more decided time to set aside and pray and spend going to God about something. And because it requires me to be still, to stop. I'm a big multitasker, but I know that if I'm genuinely wanting to spend time in prayer, I've got to set my to-do list aside, my plans for the day aside, and really focus my attention on
it. That's great. So even as we're talking about this, I'm convicted about it.
Me too.
So there's what we call shower prayer, which is, you get in the shower and you throw up some prayer, right? And that's good. Or it's like the steering wheel prayer, although no one's driving anywhere.
The commuting prayer is definitely,
and that's
I did that when I was working full time.
That's a real thing. I do that now. Sometimes I'll put on some worship music and I'll crank it and I'll have some prayer time. And let me tell you something, that can be legitimate. Yeah. Okay, that can be for real. But one of the things that we see Jesus doing is really carving out time, or the disciples, the apostles, to pray, meaning in the normal rhythms of their day, not while they're doing other things, right? They pray. They set aside time and they pray.
Yeah.
They're alert. Their mind is sober, meaning it's clear, it's focused. There's not distraction. There's sobriety to it. And that's really hard for us.
Yeah.
But it's something that we desperately need. It's something that our culture needs right now. Right. Prayer is important. People need you to pray for them. You need to pray for you. Your kids need you to be prayerful for them. Our communities, our country, our leaders need prayer. God hears the prayers of his people.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we desperately need to grow in, if I can just shoot super straight from the hip, is we need to grow in maturity in people who pray. We are many times in the West, the Western church, we're a mile wide and an inch deep. We love all the candy of Christianity, but oftentimes we don't move into the real health and vitality of things like praying.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. I mean, I get this more than anything. I've got a pantry right around the corner here that's got chips in it. And you know what I like to do? I like to eat chips way more than I want to eat broccoli. but one is good for
That's
me.
true.
And
Although
go
I feel
ahead.
the same way. Go ahead.
Go.
Sorry.
No, what were you going to say?
I'm stealing your moment of ministry.
I didn't love chips until I married Amy. And she has literally, sometimes we'll come home with like, no lie, like 18 bags of different kinds of chips.
No lie. You guys, do you think that is real or serious? No.
No, it's not serious, but she does love some potato chips. And
I do that. That is true. Jalapeno chips, the Boulder brand of the jalapeno chips really is the best out there. Okay. But anyways, I digress.
Keep going. Take us. We're going, by the way, a little bit longer today.
We're way over normal time of your devotional.
That's how it's going to go.
I would, I don't even know where we're going with this. You were talking about we like
praying.
To go to the pantry for snacks, and spiritually speaking, that is the case too, where we just kind of take a little bit here, a little bit there, but to really have a deep moment of prayer. What are you laughing at?
I'm sorry.
I'm so glad that my reiterating what he just said is so comical.
What she's saying is
people are not going to take me seriously on your devotionals ever. They're going to be like, Amy's on. It's just going to be funny talk the whole time.
No, it's not. It's not. What you're saying is true. We need to pray. It's funny and fun to do this with you.
Oh, thanks.
I think you're beautiful. And so it's great to have you on the Digital Devotionals today.
Thank you, honey.
All right,
I don't know
ladies
what
and
we're
gents.
talking about anymore.
Here's the thing. We're talking about prayer, and we need to pray. That's I don't think anybody would really argue with that. And I would say that the vast majority of people struggle with having a vivacious prayer life. And one of the disciples, this is what they said, was Jesus teaches us to pray.
Yeah.
Not like Jesus teaches to heal the sick. They want to know how to pray because praying is tough. It's hard work.
Yeah.
We would prefer to do things in our own strength. All right, lastly is this, and we're going to wind the plane. We're going to land the plane here, as I like to say. Just as each one has received a gift, use it to serve others as good stewards of the varied grace of God. If anybody speaks, let them speak. If anybody serves, let them serve with the strength God has provided. Here's the deal. At a time like this, number one, we need to always be doing this, but let's serve one another. Like, let's really, truly serve one another.
Yeah.
As in, lay your life down for the sake of another. And let's not live for ourselves. Let's live for other people. Amy and I were having this conversation a little bit this morning while we were drinking coffee before this. Without going into all the details of it, culturally speaking, though, would you say this is something that we do readily, or do we struggle with this as well?
What, just laying yourself down?
Yeah.
I think that this is a long conversation. I feel like
we'll pick it back up.
I feel like a lot of times okay, so for a stretch, I don't even know how to answer this other than I don't think right now there's a healthy balance of what it looks like to live sacrificially.
Okay.
In 2020 in our culture. Now, obviously we're in a quarantine right now, so it's very different. But I think at large, when we look at books that are being written or podcasts or shows or, things that people are talking about, I think sometimes you get mixed between sacrificing and laying yourself, considering others highly, which is what Scripture teaches us to do. It's what God teaches us to do, to put others first. That's what we're talking about in HighPoint Kids right now, is how to put others first. And then the opposite comes where people, turn that to, well, you just don't care about yourself, or you don't have self-worth if you're sacrificing. You weren't meant to be a martyr or sacrifice. And there are two things at work there, I feel like, because you have, you should have self-worth, and you should, for me, my anchor is Jesus. I know who I am in him. I know that I'm made in his image, and my security is drawn from God. It's not drawn from you, even though you're my husband and I love you, my best friend, but I don't draw my security from Andy or
True.
my kids or my job. I draw it from God.
Yeah.
And because my security is in him, I know that the best thing and the greatest thing that I can do is lay my life down for the sake of someone else, following exactly what Jesus did for us.
Yeah. Laying your life down. That's not easy. You're talking about dying to yourself, right? To serve one another. And, in a moment like now, being hospitable looks different, right? It's not like you're inviting people over to your home and having a barbecue,
Which I really want to do.
I know, us too. But what you can still, hospitality. How can you be hospitable in your speech? Hospitable in your, gracious maybe is another way to maybe use that terminology right now, but to be gracious with one another, right? To give people room to have a bad day right now. I think literally my sister posted, she's on right now. She posted an article. You should look at her Facebook feed on the value of letting people just grieve and having a tough moment. That's part of being hospitable and gracious with one another right now, giving people room. I would also say that using your gifts, culturally speaking, we love to embrace an ideology that promotes ourself as numero uno, where it's all about us, and we're going to build our kingdom. We're going to build our business. We're going to build our platform, right? And there's nothing wrong with being successful. In fact, whether you're a man or a woman, whether you're a kid, right, and you're making good money or you're successful, all that is fine. However, the height of, the pinnacle of what God has given you isn't so that you can build your thing. It's so that you can use what God's given you to better serve other people. Other people are always the end game with what God has given you.
Right.
God's glory and the benefit of others. So if you speak, and encourage people, which is one of the reasons I'm doing this every day. One of my gifts is to speak. So I don't always want to get up and do this right now.
Right.
Surprise to my church that is watching, I don't always want to preach. But part of what I get to do is use it for the benefit of others. Not, serving is the same way. How do you serve someone, right? I literally received a mug in the mail, where someone spent their hard-earned money and sent it, right? This is what it looks like in a time right now to be generous, to give. We're starting a COVID-19 assistance fund at our church, and we're asking people to give $19 towards it, right? To help families who are in need. This is part of using what God has given you, the gifts he's given you, to be a blessing to those in need.
And I think it's a great time, too, if you're like, I don't know how God's gifted me. Ask him to reveal that to you. Ask him to highlight to you, God, what are the gifts that you've put inside of me? And remember, this is what Scripture says. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. So whatever thing that God has put inside of you, he's going to give you the grace, number one, to walk that out and to serve others with it.
So good.
And I love what you said about grace right now. I feel like that's just a word for everybody. You got to give yourself grace.
Yeah.
But really lean into God's grace during this season.
Really
Whatever your challenges are, whatever great things are going for you. Some of you introverts out there are loving this time. But lean into God's grace while you're doing this. Grieve if you need to grieve. Enjoy yourself, at home with your family or your roommates, or if you are by yourself, whatever it is, lean into God's grace in this season, and don't be so heavy on yourself. Let his grace really lead you through it.
People going through some tough times. Let's be alert, sober-minded for prayer, and let's serve one another. If you're having a great day, help other people have a great day. Use the gifts God's given you to do it. If you're having a bad day, we're with you. We're praying for you. And you know what? We're here to serve and walk with you through this. Yeah. We're going to get through this, everybody. I'm going to say that one more time. To Instagram, Facebook, we're going to get through this.
Yeah.
Right? We'll be on the other side of it. And God's good. He's faithful. He loves you. We love you. Have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. This was a long this was a
Yes.
long one, but you know what? Sometimes you got to make exceptions.
I'd also like to point out Carla Gerard.
What up, Augusta?
Anna Joy is on. I saw Miriam a minute ago. Vera's on, so hey, Miriam, I see you. For all of you who are just joining, Andy and I, this is our first Instagram live video, which is really funny because at the beginning,
I don't do Instagram live.
like, so how do people actually see this? Is it saved? I don't know. But for all of you who are watching on Instagram, I was joining Andy today for his devotional, and I thought it would be a fun thing to just.
And now she's stuck, and she's going to have to do it every.
Carla, we have to sit this close
day.
Because Carla says, "I love how close you're sitting." We have to sit this close because I'm using my phone and our screen is like this big.
You could sit in my lap next time. Would that be awkward? Just, we'll do one of these. All right. You've had enough of us. Guys, love you. We will see you right here tomorrow.
Here. Have
Thursday.
a wonderful day. Walk in His grace today.
Love you.
Bye, guys.